remember, back in 1994, I was in law school. And like the rest of America, I watched the trial gavel to gavel. Well, the smash success of the FX miniseries, The People vs. O.J. Simpson, American Crime Story, has proven once again that everyone still likes to talk about the trial of the century. Well, almost everyone. For nearly 20 years, Robert Shapiro, O.J. Simpson, Simpson's first defense attorney, has remained silent until now.
Thank you very much for being here. Why do you think the story still brings out so much passion?
I think because, number one, Simpson himself, great all-American hero, one of the greatest football players who ever lived. First time DNA was ever used in a trial of any significance. Very interesting.
DNA fake. Double helix, double hoax. Jacob's Ladder. See my other videos.
Lawyers on both sides, and a horrible, devastating loss to two families.
Mr. Simpson is a wanted murder suspect, 2 counts of murder.
When O.J. Simpson was first arrested for killing his wife Nicole and her friend Ron Goldman, pretty much everyone thought he would be convicted. Not attorney Robert Shapiro. Shapiro was so famous, he's portrayed by John Travolta in the FX series, The People vs. O.J. Simpson. Shapiro now says that a lot of what you think you know about the trial is wrong. First, Shapiro says he outmaneuvered Marcia Clark by making her believe he wasn't ready.
The judge asked, Mr. Shapiro, what's your position? Your Honor, we're ready for trial.
Okay, back to the bald head.
Mr. Shapiro.
To the bald head. That's a trademark of Telly Savalas. He shaved his head for one of his first major roles, Pontius Pilate, in The Greatest Story Ever Told. And he liked to do that from that time on. It didn't mean he didn't have hair. He was starting to get some baldness on his head at the time, but he does have hair. You can see right here, even on this little area here. But the fact that Shapiro is bald right now is the trademark of Telly Savalas. See, look here. For the O.J. trial, he put on a hairpiece and maybe dyed what hair he had on either side of his ears or in the back. He was not really bald completely, but he did that for all his roles. It was like a trademark. And he's telling you right now, by this bald head, that he's Telly Savalas.
Shapiro, what's your position? Your Honor, we're ready for trial. Looks at Marcia Clark and says, call your first witness. And you can...
Okay, we're going to jump to something else because I have to endure a commercial. But we're going to jump to the Pictrive. Now, I didn't get extremely high results because sometimes it's just that way, but enough results to definitely make the confirmation. And again, for me, the confirmation's in that bald head of Shapiro. Okay, Robert Shapiro with the bald head on the left, Telly Savalas with his trademark as an actor a bald head on the right. Robert Shapiro on the left with a little bit of hair. Telly Savalas on the right. Shapiro on the left. Savalas on the right. Now, this gets a little further into fakeness, because what happens is Shapiro will take his role as the OJ trial lawyer and use it to hoax everybody about the death of a son, and then setting up a fund. They always do that. They set up a fund because they play on your compassion. Supposedly his son dies of a drug overdose. And this is that interview. You will see Shapiro, he was bald, he was really Telly Savalas, and hoaxing the world.
Know that he was involved with alcohol, with drugs.
At that time, he's 16. I suspected he was smoking grass. I suspected he was drinking. But, okay, so it's
Notice
kids,
the fire
it's
burning.
experimenting. He's still doing great in school. Unfortunately,
The fire burning is symbolic of the false light of Lucifer. Notice it's a golden fire. Like a golden light, a false light. And notice the reflection in the background off of that photo, off of that painting or whatever that is. If it's supposed to be a sunrise or sunset, I'm not sure, but notice it's yellow golden light too.
we let it slide too long.
A kid who grew up in a supportive environment among celebrities and privilege. Here's Brent at his bar mitzvah in Israel.
You have made me as proud a father as anybody could be. I love you.
I'm just so proud of you.
After high school, it became readily apparent.
He mentioned the name of a nation that's pretty much what you might say is a control center.
That there was a real issue.
Brent's parents sent him to several rehab and sober living programs, and when he returned home, Brent seemed to have turned his life around.
He came back.
Okay, take a look. Take a look at Telly Savalas. That's what you're seeing, is Telly Savalas. Here's Telly Savalas right there. Can you just basically see the likeness right there? And the voice is very similar. That's Telly Savalas now on an interview.
The guy making a living. If you turn him into a sex symbol, that's not my fault. But I love the rumor. I love that kind of exploitation.
What do you think made you
exploitation?
My sentimentality, my affection for people, my soft nature, my altogether warm, compassionate personality.
See him smiling? Because he knows it's the opposite. He played Robert Shapiro in the hoax trial of the century. And then he's telling everybody his son died and set up a fund so that people can donate.
And got into USC, was on the dean's list, was doing fantastic. Brent said, I am a drug addict. Prove to me I'm an alcoholic, that I can't once in a while just have some wine or a beer with the guys. And that ultimately was his downfall.
A downfall after being sober.
Did you notice another flash
that ended tragically
of golden light?
On October 9, 2005 for a 24-year-old with his whole life ahead of him.
He broke
10 911 code, death code.
Had another one. And then for some reason that is inexplicable, decided to split in ecstasy, had a horrible reaction, got violently ill, began to projectile vomit. And people said, you know, he'll just sleep.
Now I want to ask you a question. If you were a father who truly lost your son to a drug overdose, could you so casually and calmly talk this way in front of cameras? Now I'm a father. I have children. And if anything happened to my children, I will tell you something. I could not talk so calmly. And if I did talk, I'd be crying. And I would hardly be able to get any words out because of the loss of my son or sons or daughter or daughters. Take a look. He's smiling, talking about the death of a son. Telly Savalas, you, Mr. Savalas, you who masquerade as Robert Shapiro, and who knows who else you've masqueraded as, you're exposed. Thank you for watching. End of video.